Hi, my name is Bob and I'm renovating this 1973 Egg Harbor Sportfish boat. Well, hello everyone, welcome to Renovation Sportfish. It is early December and it is pretty cold. It's about 23 degrees here at the boat, and came over here to do some work, but my feet are just too cold. They're frozen right now. So I'm ready to just do a little filming and then go home and edit or watch some football or something like that. But anyways, this is episode 25. Finally going to wrap up the 2017 projects in this episode. The projects I'm talking about are fabrication, installing new toe rails, and of course varnishing them. Got to get a little varnishing in. I've been doing that lately. And then installing the bow rails and some of the hardware up front, cleats and things like that, and just like rubbing strips and rubrails, all that kind of stuff. So let's get right into the first project, and that is the fabrication of the new toe rails. Okay, so the first part of the project was going to be making some templates. Now, the factory toe rails were 3 pieces of teak per side. I decided to use 4 pieces of mahogany per side, just because I couldn't get wide enough pieces to make the pieces that were at the front. So I divided it into 4 instead of 3. And I used mahogany just because teak was too expensive. So I started making the templating material out of that thin plywood I've always used for all of my templating material. I get it at the big box store, and you've seen me use it before if you've watched other episodes. Yeah, I just made the templates. I obviously couldn't line up the joints like the factory did, but I did use the same style of joint that they use for the scarf joints. And yeah, so you'll see that going on. Each joint was a little bit different because, as you'll see, the pieces at the front are much wider and gets narrower as you go along the sides. So I had to adjust the joints as I went along to do that. So once I got the templates all made, I made templates for each side because the boat really wasn't symmetrical, as I found out. When I took the templates from one side and tried to use them on the other side, they didn't really fit up good. So I had to make separate templates. And yeah, that's about it for templating. Then I transferred them to the mahogany that I bought and fitted all the pieces up, as you'll see. I put all the pieces in kind of rough, I'll say. I didn't round over all the edges and everything until I actually got all the pieces in. So we'll look at the templates and look at the rough install of all the pieces, and then I'll break in and talk about how I actually formed the rounded edges on the pieces before I varnish them. Okay, so once all the fabrication of these toe rails was done and all the contouring of the edges and all that was done, then it was time to just fit the stainless steel rub rails and rubbing strips and things like that that were attached to the toe rails themselves. So let's take a look at that. Once that was done, everything was stripped off, and you know it. It's time to varnish. Same varnish I've used on everything else, the all wood. Primer coat, 8 coats, and yeah, it was a little bit of a job. I still put in the furring strips around the edges of the shrink wrap to pull it away. Didn't give a lot of room to actually do the varnishing on the actual rub rail part of it, and got a few drips and things here and there, I think, which I'm probably going to have to take care of at some point, probably before I put the boat in the water. I'll just scuff it all up and do it, but I don't think you're really going to notice those in the pictures, but they're there, and it was a little bit of a challenge doing that, but yeah, it worked out alright. They came out pretty good. Like I said before, with all my varnishing, I don't go to the degree of sanding it down to try to get it perfectly like glass. You can do that with this product, but I don't go through all those steps of sanding and everything. But if you do try to use the product and you want to do something like that, they do tell you what to do to really sand it down nice and all that kind of stuff at the end. I'm not really looking to get it so perfect that if I nick it or something, I'm going to notice it. So anyways, that's what you're going to see here. So we'll get into some more varnishing, more varnishing, more varnishing. at the installation of the rubbing strips and the rub rails. Now they're all the original stainless steel pieces, except for a couple that I pointed out when I was fitting them in earlier. And of course there's solid ones along the rub rail area, and then the rubbing, I call them rubbing strips. They're just on top of the toe rails. Those are like hollow back ones. So I polished them up and installed them. And then you're going to see me installing the bow rail. You'll see these little pads along the deck. I use the same things for the railings here behind me on the flybridge. They're just to keep the base fittings off the deck. I saw it done on another boat and I thought it was a good idea in case water's rushing along there. It just will minimize the water that's going to come in contact with the screws. So I don't know, I did it on the decks up here too as well. They're basically pieces of 1/4 inch marine grade dug for plywood, cut it out of the hole saw on my drill press, round over the top edge, fiberglass them, and then install them with a thickened epoxy. Okay, now we get into installing some of the hardware. Now, one of the pieces of hardware you're going to see right off the bat is this cleat that's on the side deck. And this is it right here. I haven't really installed them permanently yet. They call it a flat top cleat, and there's the bottom of it. As you can see, it's all cast 3/16 stainless steel. And basically the cleat flips up. And so when you're not using it, it folds down like that. Now, the cleat sits right in the middle of the side deck, so you're going to trip over the thing. So I figured with this kind of a design, you won't be tripping over it. The problem I see with the design is that this thing is going to fill with water. So I'm going to have to either make something to fit in here when the cleat's up to try to minimize that. Still going to be water in there when it's down, but I think I can deal with that. other cleats that were like pop-up cleats and things. You had to have all these drains and all this stuff, and I didn't really want to get into that. So you'll see how I fit this piece in some of the first photos. Still have to install this, but you'll see that. So I figure I'd give it a try. What the heck? Save somebody's foot, maybe mine. And then there's the piece that goes right over the chain locker. That fitting is, I can't remember what you'd actually call it, but you flip it up and you pull the line out and drop it down in, it covers it up. That's stainless steel. That also has one of those plywood bases I made for it, and did the same procedure. And so you'll see that before I actually have it fitting on there. None of these fittings I actually installed, even at this time. I painted the decks already, but I haven't shown that yet. One in the future video I'm going to be showing pretty soon. But I still haven't embedded all this stuff, so it's all just kind of sitting around. So you'll see those. There's a couple of fittings that I had re-chromed for the bow rail. The end fittings, I thought they looked pretty good and they were in good condition. They were solid bronze, so I had those re-chromed. I also had the original bow chocks re-chromed. I bought a couple stainless steel ones, didn't like them. Thought they looked a little cheesy, chintzy, so I figured I'd just re-chrome these factory bronze ones. They came out really nice, so you'll see those going in too. And then that's going to wrap it up, and we'll wrap it up, we'll wrap up after you see that stuff. Do it for me in this episode. My hand's just about frozen off from holding that piece of stainless steel in the last clip, but I'm freezing myself too, and I'm ready to go home. So yeah, that's going to wrap up the 2017 projects. Next episode we'll start the 2018 projects, and I think I actually did a little filming in 2018 just with my iPhone, so there'll be a little bit more movement, I guess, in the in the tale I'm telling here. But I don't think I filmed myself doing any work though. But anyways, hope you like this one and you come and watch the next one. So until then, have a good one, and we'll see you really soon right here on Renovation Sportfish.